So a hedge fund, how does a hedge fund differ from a mutual fund? Just using a broad example. So many of us have mutual funds, which charge anywhere from a few basis points to 1 or 2% a year, just for the privilege of babysitting our money.
A basis point being 100th of a point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hedge funds, which have really cropped up all over the place in the last few years, in addition to that 1 or 2% a year, they take 20% of the profits.
Right.
And how do they differ in investment style? Well, mutual funds are really very highly regulated. They pretty much buy stocks and bonds, maybe some options, maybe some real estate investment trusts, and that's pretty much it. Hedge funds can invest in everything. They can invest in lawsuits. They can invest in commodities, gold, grains, emerging markets, distressed debt. So they're really no holds barred.
And they do it with leverage, which is to say they will borrow 90% of the purchase price they're paying, put in 10% of their own money. If the price goes down 10%, they are wiped out.
That's right.
They've got to sell to get the 90% to give back to the people who lent it to
They're
them.
considered very risky.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Right, right. And Madoff, technically, people have called him a hedge fund since the beginning, but I guess since the beginning, he's not really a hedge fund.
No. So here's the conundrum of Madoff. So he and his brother had this very well-known brokerage firm for decades. Meanwhile, they had started out, I believe in the 60s, started sort of a friends and family investment club. They needed money to trade, and they started offering people, say, 20 or 25% a year returns. They claimed to be doing an arbitrage strategy. And that, I think, was sort of the beginning of this quasi, quote-unquote hedge fund, which really, I think, was just a Ponzi scheme from the beginning, which basically a Ponzi scheme is just a pyramid scheme. Money comes in from new investors and goes out to pay old investors, and no investments are ever made.
Do you think, well, see, some people have said it, Madoff has claimed, a very trustworthy fellow, has claimed that it started in 1992. The government claims it started in the late 80s. Some people think it started at the beginning. You think it started at the beginning. But do you think that at the beginning, Madoff was actually making profits in the 60s or 70s?
You know, I do. I don't think it was that difficult to make 20 or 25% a year because, back in the 1960s, the spreads, or rather the buy and sell price for a stock on Wall Street could have been several dollars. I buy IBM at $5 and I sell it at $8. That's an enormous profit margin.
So the broker would buy it and sell it.
Absolutely.
He'd buy it from the person who wants to sell. He'd sell it to the person who wants to buy, and he buys it low. He sells it high. Make a lot of money.
Very lucrative business. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
Partly because we have technology now, and we also trade in pennies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I buy at $1 and I sell at $1.02.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it was possible that
Yeah.
he was actually making that money.
Yeah.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.